wounds aching far and deep, unfinished long ago. Same song sung, no more. Take a breath, step outside, feel the rain. Wet my hands, feel my face. Touch the earth, touch the earth, touch the earth. Painful journey unknown. It's a long way from home. Can we talk? I need a friend. I need a friend. Same thoughts coming back again. Take a breath, step outside, feel the rain.
So thanks everyone for being here. This is actually a pre-recording of the Wisdom Circle we did, simply
Unfinished long ago. Same song sung, no more. Take a breath, step outside, feel the rain. Wet my hands, feel my face. Touch the earth, touch the earth, touch the earth. Painful journey unknown. It's a long way from home. Can we talk? I need a friend. I need a friend. Same thoughts coming back again. Take a breath, step outside, feel the rain.
So thanks everyone for being here. This is actually a pre-recording of the Wisdom Circle we did, simply because Tash and I are on the road somewhere in Michigan at a women's festival. But thank you to Destiny, who's on the back end, and you're seeing a pre-recorded of this incredible interview we're just doing with the beautiful Warrior Brown. As you all know, we will be getting all of our social media people and then bringing them in, and once they're in, the music will stop and then Tash will start it. But we just wanted to thank each and every one of you, especially Warrior Brown, who is with us this evening. So look forward to some very beautiful medicine from him with amazing works that he has been doing. And thank you to our beautiful interpreter, ASL interpreter, who is Mariah Garcia, making access available for all. So on that beautiful note, I am going to share screen and we're going to bring all of our social media in. Thanks, everyone. Just sit tight. Oh, well, we'll just wait for Tash to come back. Whenever you're ready, Tash. Warrior, how's your day been?
Oh man, it's been really busy. I honestly think I work too much, but yeah, I love what I do, and I think that's what keeps me going. So it's been good, you know. Nonetheless, it's been really good, and work's good. It keeps my mind occupied. So
Oh,
Cool.
you are
Save
so
that
amazing.
thought, warrior.
We are really grateful that you are here. Tash, if this is okay, can you just hold it there because I'm going to bring everyone in from the social media. So you know what happens when the music stops and we're looking at the screen. So anyway, thanks everyone for your patience and our lovely little back end stuff that no one ever gets to see on the front end. But we're really grateful that all of you are here seeing this pre-recording. I'm just going to go and bring everyone in now.
Touch the earth. Feel the rain.
Yeah, hey everyone. Thank you all for being with us tonight for the Indigenous Ways Wisdom Circle, where we are so grateful to have our little brother with us tonight. Before we get started, I just want everyone to know that this is a family-friendly event. We have a world family, and everyone is welcome here. And all we ask is that everybody be very respectful to how you approach or utilize this platform. This is a sacred space and needs to be used in a good way. So respect is much appreciated. We'd like to start the evening to acknowledge our traditional owners and ancestors of these tribal lands, Ogapoge Owinge, also known as Santa Fe, where we reside in. So thank you all for blessing us this evening. Warrior Brown, yes, tonight we have Warrior Brown with us. Warrior Brown, I've been hearing about since he was a little boy. I know Warrior's father, Etzel Brown, and his uncles. He's got an amazing family of Navajo relations and ancestors from the Canyon de Chelly, Chinle, the valley in between Chinle and Mini Farms. And he's got family from Lukachigai and probably all over the reservation. So this evening, I just wanted to welcome our young brother, Warrior Brown, who was born and raised on the Navajo reservation, and he is Hashkan Hadzoa, same as my grandfather's father, which means yucca fruit strung out in a line clan. And he is born from the Tanabaheshni, the Sleep Rock people. He's originally from Bitterwater, Arizona, but was raised throughout the Navajo Nation. And we're going to get to hear all about that, I hope. Currently, Warrior has a bachelor's degree in global health and a master's in public administration from Arizona State University. So for Warrior being what people refer to as Gen Z, Warrior comes with a lot of goods. He has tradition. He has that ladder Chief Manuelito said, to climb up the ladder to the higher grasslands by maintaining culture, maintaining the concepts of the Navajo people, the Hajonjago, the Beauty Way, and also Warrior Brown has education, college education, a couple of degrees at that. So let's go ahead and kick off this beautiful interview this evening.
Yay, Warrior.
welcome. And can you tell us about your early beginnings?
All right. Hey, thank you, Tosh. Thank you, Alina. Yeah, so I'm Warrior Brown. Like has a nice little ring to it. But yeah, I was my early beginnings. So I was raised by two educators, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, and my mom was an elementary school teacher, and my father was an art teacher as well. But he kind of switched back and forth between his art and teaching. But they've always been my teacher, and with that, my mom she had me at 24 years old at the very beginning point of her career, and she would transition from school to school to get that experience that she really needed, to get the exposure from different programs, being able to work with different faculty, different leaders. And she really wanted to travel throughout the Navajo Nation to get that exposure. So, from the very beginning, I was actually brought up here at the Net College where I currently work. I was a young baby then. And then from that point on, I went to Pine Hill, New Mexico, close to the Zuni reservation. So I got to be a part of those native Navajo people out there. And oftentimes I hear that they feel forgotten sometimes or outside of the Navajo Nation. But I was there, and they're very well, strong Navajos out there. So being out in the Rama reservation out there was always a beautiful thing. And then, slowly moved in backwards, moved to Hachi, Chushkai, and then, on to Chinle. And then I spent 5 years in Window fighting scouts for all those fighting scouts out in the crowd. And then I finalized my last part, high school, at Chinle High School. Tosh mentioned that my uncles grew up, my aunties and my uncles on my dad's side, they're very heavily involved with the Chinle community, and I wanted to be a part of that, come right to the heart of the Navajo Nation and be a part of the Chinle Wildcat. So I'm happy to be a Wildcat, and that's really my early beginnings.
That's awesome, Warrior. So you traveled all over the reservation. So obviously you got different types of, how do I say, context of the different, like Tuba City, Kayenta, Rough Rock, Mini Farms, Chinle, Saley, Window Rock, Fort Defiance. All those places have very different kind of vibration and politics and ways of being. So it feels to me like you're pretty well rounded out as a well-traveled Navajo young man. So when you left the reservation for your studies, can you talk to us a little bit about that? And also, can you tell us how it felt when you grew up with so much vast wealth on the Navajo Nation of culture and people and family? How did it feel when you first left the reservation, when you were outside of your people's homelands?
Yeah. Hey, my name is Warrior, and that's not a very easy name to grow up with. And it made me a stronger person, having to transition from school to school to school, having to make new friends, having to adapt myself. How do I adjust myself to fit into this new group of people? How do I, grow up? I want to make friends. And the short answer, is I did make a lot of friends along the way. And I was really myself. I really embraced myself. I embraced my family's teachings and traditions. And all of that, being able to move from school to school, having to adjust, having to be flexible, having to meet new people, having to say my clans over and over and over again. That prepared me for the Western world, having to get that amount of scrutiny for my name, being in sports. I was prepared before I left. So when I did leave, it actually turned out the Western world was a lot easier for me. People were more accepting of me and kind of my ideals. They were open to learning more about me. And I find it that the Navajo, growing up all over the reservation, has really prepared me for that. And you've mentioned vibrations and different politics. Every Navajo community is unique in its own way. And I still have the privilege of learning that, from the beautiful Dinepiqueya, and then, being able to go around it. So I really think that being raised in that way really prepared me to be adaptable, to really be flexible in how I communicate and how I represent the Navajo Nation.
So when you're out of your comfort zone, off the reservation, you say you're representing the Navajo Nation. Do you feel like your ancestors are with you? Do you feel alone?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, when I graduated from Arizona State, both of my grandmas are passed, and I strongly believe that women built me. Even before I started working here at Diné College, all of my bosses that I've had were women, and I have a really deep, strong belief that women are the ones who built me. And my first clan goes back generations, very strong Ishkana clan that I come from. And when I walked across the stage at ASU, I felt my Nolly on my left side and my Shamasana on my right side, and I felt that. And I know there was more of them behind me, but those two women were holding me up, walking me across that stage. And it's empowering to feel that feeling walking across the stage. But yeah, definitely, my ancestors were right there with me. They're still all around me.
So can you explain to those of us that might not know what Nali and Masana means, and what does that mean in terms of the Navajo family system?
Yeah, so my Nolly, Shinule, to be more specific, Shinule Tsa was means my paternal grandmother, my dad's mom, and then Shamasana is my maternal grandmother, which is my mother's mom.
I noticed that you're familiar with your clan system. Do you know any of the stories that go back about the Hashkahatzoa people? And can you talk a little bit about some of your clans? Any stories about your people's clans, or what they're known for, or how the name came up, or where the people derive from on the vast reservation?
Oh yeah, so that's something I definitely need to commit to learning more about my clans. But I know Yucca is strung out on a line. I do know that when I do go home, they're all over the place. Yucca, the yucca cactus, they're all over. And if you look at the yucca, there's fruits that come up straight from the middle part. And I believe that long ago, my ancestors, they used to pick those fruits and they would dry them out on a line. Literally, that's what the clan says. That's pretty much all I know. Tenabithni, my dad's clan, I definitely need to do more research on that. I'm really in touch with my mom's side. My father's side, I need to get a little bit more understanding on what Tenabithni is.
Okay, so what about now that you've done your travels all over the Navajo Nation and you've been off the reservation for educational purposes and some work, which we'll talk about that later in our very short interview here. But can you talk about why it's important for you to be back on the reservation now, and what kind of what do you hope to accomplish for yourself and your people by being home?
Okay. Yeah, I left the Navajo Nation when I was 19 years old in a red Jeep on my way to Phoenix, Arizona. I remember it clearly. It was a sunset, Arizona sunset. And I had one objective in my head, was that was to come home someday and serve my people, like any other Navajo kid would. That's what a lot of Navajos say. I want to come back home and serve my people. So since I was 19 all the way until I turned, I'd say 24. I was away for 6 years continuously, just going to school nonstop. And I got my master's last December. And during that time, I was kind of my ending point was like, once I get my master's, I have to go home and return to my family. And that's what I did. I set my mind on the horizon, and eventually I found the sun. And I thought it was time. I'm prepared. Before returning to the Navajo Nation, I worked at the Institute of American Indian Arts, IAIA, for about 3 years. And then that gave me exposure to Native communities, but it wasn't exactly the same way it felt being home. There's a certain amount of connection that I feel with my fellow colleagues and my peers. There's a certain sense of humor that you can't really get outside of the Navajo Nation. There's a certain sense of hardship as well And that hardship also empowers us as a whole, as a collective community to work together to address certain issues. It's not the Navajo Nation has a lot of issues, of course, which makes it even more. I don't like saying the word issue. I prefer the word opportunity, so that I'm able to, have the opportunity to help, address any of these, concerns or issues that these that my Navajo people are going to. But yeah, I've always been wanting to come back, and currently working at Diné College is exactly the place to do that.
That is just amazing. Do you know any of the history of Diné College? When did it start, and who founded it, and what was the vision, and what kind of mission does it have?
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, Diné College. If anybody from Diné College is watching, so I know Diné College was founded in 1968. It's I believe it was 1968 or 1962, but it was the first tribal college to be established. And originally, I know it started in, I want to say Rough Rock or Mini Farms, but it started very small. And then later, I believe in the 70s, it transitioned up here to Diné College here in St. Lee. At first, it was Navajo Community College, and then that transitioned into Diné College. But currently, we are a 4-year institution, and then we are looking at the horizon into expanding into a university pretty soon. But I don't want to officially announce that just yet. But that's the path. That's our aim. And I know we are also, I believe, the largest tribal community university or college in the country. But we're also I don't like necessarily saying that, because each tribal college is unique in its own way, and I think it's important that we support each other. But I know, yeah, a little bit about Diné College's history, and I know one thing I can say about Diné College history for sure is that everybody and their grandma went here, and this is
Right.
kind of the place. This is the funnel for the Navajo people. And my parents went here. A lot of people's parents went here. Their grandparents, their uncles, their aunties. Some even just took a class. But Diné College is a household name on the Navajo Nation. You walk into grandma's house, you'll see a Diné College calendar on the wall, or some type of, you'll see her wearing a Diné College shirt. And I take great pride in saying that, Diné College is the funnel to success for the Navajo people.
Thank you for that. And now shifting gears, I've been hearing about cultural appropriation for a lot of years. And when I first heard it, I was very young. I was a child. And I heard Buffy St. Marie, my favorite musician on planet Earth, talking about it on stage. And it didn't make sense to me what she was saying and what my idea of cultural appropriation, because that word propo sounds like proper. So as a young Navajo child on a reservation, I thought cultural proper, apropos something, a proper, So then I realized later on that that's not what it means at all. So are you familiar with cultural appropriation? And I know you're back on a reservation, but I know off the reservation, a lot of tribes face a tremendous amount of cultural appropriation. Did you experience that when you were off the reservation? And is any of that happening on the Navajo reservation? And if it does, what do you guys do to remedy that? It's called stealing others' culture.
Yeah, and Tosh, cultural appropriation is a touchy subject. If you can you just kind of maybe define what you think of it first, so I can kind of build off of that?
Absolutely. What is a good example of cultural appropriation is a Navajo person or a family inviting a student they meet in college back to the reservation, bring them into the home, into the Hogan life, bring them to the sheep camp, maybe invite them to some ceremonies and explain stuff that they wouldn't otherwise maybe get in a book. And then that person goes back out and does some studying from resources and decides to publish a book about Canyon de Chelly or Navajo ceremonies or autistic children on the Navajo reservation that go to school at Chinle Valley School or whatever. But it feels like a violation to me. It feels like a violation for anybody to take anything from anybody that has anything to do with language or culture without first, A, getting permission, explaining the purpose, the intention. And then second, once this thing is published, what are you going to give back to the people? Are you going to give half of the proceeds of that published book back to the Navajo school you're studying or the Navajo family that's supporting your studies?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I want to approach this very respectfully. I would say, compared to other tribes, if I were to compare maybe the Navajo Nation to the Pueblos in over New Mexico, the Pueblos are very protective of who they invite into their communities, into their feasts, into their homes, and even whoever who speaks their language. They're very protective. And I've, working at IAI, I learned that really, really good. Compared to the Navajo Nation, just like if you were to go to a Pueblo, you can't exactly just go to the Pueblo. You need to approach it very respectfully. You need to be invited and really go into that extent. But to the Navajo Nation, we're huge, very big part of the 3 different states. And there's so many highways and roads that go through our land. But on top of that, we're also the largest tribe in the country. So there's a lot of, it's a little harder to control what gets out there, especially when it comes to our language. But I also think the Navajo Nation is probably one of the most progressive in terms of wanting to, in terms of transitioning into the Western world. Chief Manuelito said it himself. Education is the pathway for our future Diné people, and the more we can understand this and use it to our benefit, that's really going to increase our survival as a people. So the better we can transition into the Western culture, but also remember who we are, is kind of how we go into it. So when it comes to a cultural appropriation, I don't think the Navajo Nation is as protective as it should be of its language, of its land. But I think there's a lot of fighters out there, and cultural appropriation. Like, just for example, my Chinle High School had that Netflix special about their basketball team. I'm not exactly sure if they benefited from it, but from the Navajo perspective, bringing awareness to the Chinle community, bringing awareness to the issues that are that these young native warriors, I call them young native warriors, are facing, the awareness behind it. I think it's beneficial because if no one is able to see it, no one will really understand what's really happening in the Navajo Nation. So I think we approach it that way. But the Navajo Nation is so big, it's kind of hard to really control the cultural appropriation. But I'm definitely against it. I think we do have to protect our language, but at the same time, it kind of, remember what Chief Manuelito said, we kind of got to be incorporated into the Western world in order to survive now. I think that's also essential. As much as we want to keep it to ourselves, we also have to consider external partners to really advance forward as a people.
That's interesting you say Chief Manuelito, because Chief Manuelito was from the era of Chi Dodge and Barbancito and Urbano and all these guys that created the peace treaty deal and persuaded the people running Fort Sumner, the Long Walk, Hueste, of the Navajo people, and captured there and held as slaves many who got sick and died from that concentration camp kind of like experience.
Mm-hmm.
Those chiefs negotiated to get the Navajos back to the Four Sacred Mountains, while these other officials were saying, send the Navajo people to Oklahoma, where the Trail of Tears people were sent, and amalgamate them in there with all those tribes that came from, the Plains tribes. And I'm always perplexed by how our oral tradition says they had ceremony, they had vision, they saw everything as a vision, that it was going to work at seemingly impossible struggles. And the beginning of the Navajo Treaty of 1868 was created and signed, and the Navajos were allowed to go back to the Navajo Nation, which is the four sacred mountains area, the 3 states you were talking about. I think that's really just sheer prayer and action and planning right there. I mean, that's like brilliant. How do you get these colonial people to agree to something like that? But the Navajo people did. So speaking of that, do you grow up with any of the Navajo songs that we all know, like Shinasha or Shikeya Nejone Benashni, the Me I Walk, or I Remember My Beautiful Land? Did you ever sing any of those songs? Or
Oh yeah, definitely. One, as you guys might recall, I lived in Window Rock for a little while. Oh, Fort Defiance, but attended the Window Rock Unified School District. There they had an immersion school, K through 8th, known as Tsehotso de Nebalta. Such a beautiful school. There's a lot of great instructors there. My mom was one of them for about 5 years. And during that time, kindergartners would speak 100% Navajo. And as they grew up into the grade levels, they would slowly start to transition to English. So by the time they get to 8th grade, it should be about 50-50 Navajo English. So my sister, she's actually at a Navajo immersion camp right now in the Lookachugay Mountains, and she's with about 12 or 16 of her fellow students, and they can't speak a lick of English. And they're up there, in the woods, and they're roughing it, and they're speaking Navajo. And my sister was one of those kindergartners who are 100% immersion. So that's what I kind of think of, and during the time at TDB, we sang those songs. We would go to Rock Point Community School, which is also a birthplace of the Navajo language, where a lot of Navajo instructors come from. So I also want to pay tribute to Rock Point Community School too. And all of these schools, they really incorporated Navajo language, Navajo songs, and even Diné College. I know that the Diné College song here, and Sa'an Neye Bikahujon is a very big part of it. The cycle of life is a big part of these songs. I can't sing it, but once I hear it, it definitely brings back those early memories. And now my sister's, fighting for that same survival tool, being able to blend the Western culture with our Diné language in order to survive. It's not really necessarily saying we're going to move forward and forget our language. No, it's going to say, all right, we know what Western education is now. Let's use that and then use it to relearn our values and our old ways. So we're not using it as a way to depress ourselves. We're using it as an advantage. And I think that was the ultimate vision when it came to these chiefs and how they navigated the treaties. So I'm very proud of my sister Takeshi, and I'm really happy to see little students. We call them little masanas at TDB. A little quick short story, about 30 seconds.
Can you
story.
translate that real
One
quick?
time my mom.
Can you translate what
Okay.
little masanas mean and then go into your story? What does little masanas mean?
Okay. Masana, as you guys might recall, means maternal grandmother, but ultimately it could just mean grandma. When we walk around, you see a grandma walking, and she has all her jewelry on. She's all pretty and she's beautiful, and it's so sad because it's a rare sight nowadays. You get to see them, but when you do see them, they might not be your grandma, but you call them Shamasana, and you treat them like your grandma. You respect them, you hold them, you help them with whatever they need. My dad always told me, like, that's your grandma. It's like, and I never really understood that until I got older. It's like, all these grandmas that you see, you treat them like your actual grandma. They're your grandma. So that's what Masana means, is grandma, essentially. And when I say little Masana, at the Navajo Immersion School, you got to remember, these kindergartners, they all spoke 100% Navajo. And at that age, their mind is just taking in all this info. And my mom, one day she wore blue contacts, and I can't speak it, but she was talking English to her fellow teacher. and they were in English, and those little grandmas came up behind them, and they just heard a little voice. It's like, teacher, why are you speaking English? They said this in Navajo, and it's better said in Navajo, but they said, teacher, why are you speaking English? She said that, and she said, you're not supposed to speak English. And then Barcine, my teachers, my mom's fellow teacher, like turned around like, what? And then they saw my mom's eyes, they were blue. Oh, it's okay, you can speak English, but you can't speak English. And they were just little masanas keeping everybody in check, and it was the cutest thing. And I really miss those days at TDB. Little masanas.
I could just hear these little voices going, "Haila benina belagana bikecho yanske dona nato is hashinza." What happened to you? Exactly that. Yeah, that is so
Fluent.
cool. Well,
Fluent.
that's I really like that idea. You pretty much answered my next question, because I was going to ask you, how do Navajo people address this issue that's been really widespread lately about cultural appropriation, which, you know, that's the sign for stealing. So that's the way in ASL, you say culture, steal. That's the concept for cultural appropriation. But it sure doesn't sound like that, does it? It sounds like you're doing something culturally right, like something culturally appropriate. That's kind of it's almost like a word, like sounds like an oxymoron. But
Yeah.
so where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, my main priority right now is my family. My grandfather is my only grandparent that's alive right now. And then on top of that, my sister is in a very important, crucial development phase right now. She's in college, and I want to support her through and through. So she's looking to move down to University of Arizona to continue her degree in being a veterinary science. So definitely for the next, after my time here at the Net College, 2 years, I'll be supporting her by making sure she doesn't have to worry about her rent or anything like that, and that she just focuses on school, because we need a lot of vets here. And by me supporting her and supporting her education, then that's my way of supporting my people, is by having her serve as a veterinarian and taking care of our animals. But furthermore, 5 years, I hope that my sister graduates, and once she does, I know she's going to be a grown woman, and she's going to be able to take care of herself. And really, at that point, I would very much like to begin work on starting my own nonprofit. And as you mentioned earlier, I did get my bachelor's in global health, and I wanted to get my master's in public administration. So first, global health taught me a lot about anthropology and being able to go into communities respectfully, and being able to not help them, but learn about them first. Get to learn their values and their ways first. Of course, with their permission too. Being able to approach it, not being able to go into it and say, I'm here to help, take my help. More or less just like, I'm here, I'm Indigenous, and I wanna learn, and doing that respectfully. So I really would like to meet other Indigenous communities around the world, global health wise. And I also like to take a group of young Indigenous students, college students, to take part in this, being able to learn that, from different groups of people, because I love to learn about other people. And I'm sure there's a lot of other Navajo students that want to travel and do that. So being able to expose my young Indigenous generations to that, is my ultimate dream, is to travel, but also to educate the next generation of Navajo students, helping and assisting whoever we can. But that's a long vision, but hopefully in 5 years, I'll start dedicating a lot of my time to that.
I don't know if you caught our show last night with Delbert Anderson. I asked him, what are two of the most important things you hold dear in your heart that somebody told you or said to you in your formative years? I'm going to ask you that same question. What are two things that somebody you have a lot of respect for said to you that you still hold and remember and apply to your life today?
My dad, he's always said, think before you do or say anything. Think about it. Really think about it. because it seems like nowadays people just blurt out anything and they don't really back it up. And that's one thing I've always held really close to me is I like to think things out before I really approach it. And the second thing has to come from my it has to come from my mom, and she's always told me to take care of myself. And that's a very broad term, but ultimately I think what she was trying to say is, um, by taking care of yourself, you're able to help others. And I'm always talking to my mom about this, and I forgot the word, daholia. You help me out?
Da'ohlia,
Or daholia. Take
take
care of
care of
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah. And that's what I try to do, the best I can.
I remember back in the day, like as in back in the day, right? Like 10, 20 years ago, there was this shirt that came out on the Navajo reservation. I don't know if it still is, but it says, "Ah, home." And that's actually, I think, a Nike saying, just do it.
Mhm.
But the Navajo meaning concept goes yourself. And I think that carries a lot of resonance, meaning don't get that person or that government or that entity or that social safety net to do it for you. If you can do it, get up and get it. Don't just sit on a chair or on a couch and go, shisha, platin sin, me, I want, give me some. What about me? It's like, that's like grandma, grandma says that, my son, go out and get it, man. But Khalid, how do you do it? Just go out there and figure it out. It's like you don't have to have a teacher's manual for everything. Just use your common sense and some of the old teachings and protect yourself from those bad spirits out there. There's bad spirits out there that are going to come and try to mess with you too, but be prepared for that as well. And sounds like you're pretty rounded in all of that, warrior. So what is something that you would tell your younger self? What advice would you give to your younger self, and what advice do you give to the youth right now?
Oh, young warrior Brown. I would tell him not to stress out so much. Things unfold on the way it should be. And although you can do as much as you can to change things and make things go your way, there's just certain things that you can't control. And worrying too much is not going to really help you. So being able to accept the place that you're in, the time that you're in, and the people that you're with, being able to accept that and not worry about things that you have no control over. I think that's essential to ultimately taking care of yourself. But more or less, by taking care of yourself, I saw in the comment, you're able to help others. So I would tell myself, don't worry so much. Don't worry so much. Don't worry. Tomorrow will come, and the light will come, and things will unfold. And I'm a very strong believer in my faith, and I know that if I have enough faith and enough grit, and I know if I'm respectful, and if I can combine all of that, I know that my path is the right path. And I can't guarantee to myself that it'll be easy, but I know that there's a path that I'm set on. And if I continue to be a good person and I don't worry so much, and I just continue to strive for what's best for my people, then I know that I'm doing the right thing. So warrior, don't worry about yourself. Don't worry about anything. Stop worrying so much. Stop stressing so much. It's a beautiful life. Go out there, go have fun, go laugh, take that step and enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. You won't be here forever. Enjoy the ride.
That's beautiful. And it sounds to me like you've got some very empathic qualities about yourself. And empath is like, this is a sign for compassion, empath, but The empath is, to me, different than compassion, because when you're an empath, you actually feel the other person's pain. You actually are able to almost telepathically get into their shoes and walk their perspective, and really truly go, wow, man, that's some stuff you're going through, man. And to really feel it, it can almost feel like a curse sometimes, but it's really a blessing, because you're a big-hearted man. I mean, I want to share a little story, everyone. Warrior is so kind. When he first got home to the reservation, I have a very dear friend that's an elder living in Upper Greasewood, and sometimes she is left without services. She's deaf. She's profoundly deaf, and she really needed some firewood. And I'm over here in Santa Fe, and the weather was bad. It was wintertime, and I called Warrior. I just said, "Hey, Warrior, is there any way you can look around for somebody that's selling a truckload of firewood on the side of the road? Can you figure out how to get it to my friend?" So I gave her Warrior the directions, and Warrior, not knowing my best friend, never meeting her, but she's a grandma, she's a masane, and she's an elder, and she's not just with Navajo culture, she's also with deaf culture. So Warrior went ahead and called me back within about 15 to 30 minutes, and he said, "Hey, Dene College is giving away wood to needy families. I found some wood for your friend. I'm going to take it over." That's the kind of person Warrior is. Warrior, how does it feel to be able to do that kind of service, especially when you don't even know who that person is?
It feels like I'm my uncles. That's what my uncles would do. My aunties, my grandpa, all of them. That's what it feels like. Because I don't like to really boast about what I do. I'm very humble in that way, but at the same time, I couldn't just brush it off. And it was cold this winter. It was really cold. So when I did it, I just did it. I just did it. I didn't really think about it. And I knew that I had a car. A lot of people don't have cars. I have 2 arms, 2 legs, and I have a heart, I have a mind, I have eyes, and most importantly, I have a lot of beautiful land around me. So why can't I do it? What's stopping me? So I just did it. And I didn't think about it. But after the fact, now that I think about it, I feel like that's what my uncles would do. And that's what my aunties would do.
I'll tell you what, you got my vote immediately when you did that. I love you forever for that. So if you ever run for anything like president or councilman or something like that, and I have an opportunity to vote for you, you got my vote, little brother. Thank you very much.
Right
Your parents, your family, your uncles, those still here and those in the spirit world. I feel like they're all watching over you, and you're a little representation of all of them, all of their teachings they gave to you after all those years growing up with these amazing wise men and women, and those still alive today are just embracing you and loving you, I imagine, because you're home. And I want more young Navajo people to do what you're doing. Come home, man. Come home and support the people, the elders, the youth, the differently able, the intellectually disabled. Just create ways to make everybody live in prosperity and in health and in peace and in love and in culture, and walk in ceremony in the beauty way. So I'm going to ask you one last question. What does the word gathering mean to you?
The word gathering, I think it's a complex mixture of emotions. I think it's because when you have a group of people that gather, that come together, there's a secret side to them that they don't share. And when they gather, they only share the public side. But ultimately, it's a combination of different emotions. We don't really know what people are going through in their heads, in their hearts. Even though they look happy, it could be a happy gathering. You were at a dinner table, everybody's laughing. But deep down in somebody's heart, somebody's mind, they don't feel well. They don't feel happy. And it's a very complex ideology, but just understanding that we're all connected in one way or another. whether that be through the earth, through the air, through our language, through how we communicate. We're all connected, and when we combine, we come together like that. There's a lot of emotion involved, and you can ultimately feel it when you go into it. When you go into a gathering of people, sometimes you're anxious, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're shy. There's just really no way in telling how people are feeling. So when you gather, it's very important to understand that of course, you're not the only one there, but you're not the only one feeling. You're not the only one experiencing. You're not the only one with the perception there. And being able to embrace the uniqueness of every individual is a very beautiful thing. And at last, to kind of close out, we're a bunch of trees in the wind, and we're all breathing, we're all taking things, we're all intaking, outtaking, and we're all waving our own wave, and we're all different. Although we're all the tree, we're all a tree, but we're all very different. We're all shaped differently. And, but one thing that I do know is that when the wind blows, we all blow one way, we blow the other. And it's just a very beautiful but complex way of imagining people. And we are Earth, and the Earth is us. And, I strongly believe that gathering is a beautiful thing, essentially.
That is so amazingly sad. I feel like crying. You know why I want to cry? I want to cry happy tears. And you know why I want to cry happy tears? Because of you and who you are. You're beautiful, and I'm proud to say I belong to the same tribe as you. And my grandmother's father is Hashkahadzoa. So we're family. That's great. I'm going to pass it off to Elena, short break, and we're going to invite a couple of friends if they'd like to come on. But thank you so much for a wonderful interview, Warrior. Thank you. Very much.
Here, Warrior, what great medicine. Thank you so much for your humble walk. And early in the piece, when Tash asked you a question, and I could just feel the deep gratitude that you walk with your ancestors. You just had me in tears because I understand too. And, I just, when Tash introduced me to you and knowing your family, I was just so humbled to meet you. And so just tonight, the medicine that you carry and sharing with us, and how fortunate Diné College is, the campus, the staff, the students, and what you bring. And I know right now the students at this moment are doing karaoke at the moment in the background. So thank you for being at Diné College now, so you could have access to Wi-Fi, so we could make this happen. It just says a lot about who you are, and this very short glimpse that people have got to know you. And also all the best on your endeavors when I say trudge, when you look up the word trudge, it means with purpose. So as you trudge this awesome road, spreading and sharing seeds with those like Tasha and myself who are so blessed to meet you. So thank you, Warrior. We're just going to go into a commercial break. So this is what's happening next. Next month, we have the beautiful Charlie Lowry. She will be blessing us in the Wisdom Circle next month, which is Wednesday, August the 16th. So we have the Wisdom Circle every third Wednesday of the month. Same time, same channel. So that's 6 to 7 Mountain Time. Charlie Lowry is a musical powerhouse from Pembroke, North Carolina. She is proud to be an Indigenous woman and is from the Lumbee Tuscarora tribes. She is passionate about telling stories, raising awareness around issues, that plague underdeveloped and underserved communities. So not only is she blessing us in the Wisdom Circle next month, she will also be part of the festival, our August Indigenous Ways Festival, which is happening on the Friday. So if you want more of Warrior Brown, you can. If you check back in the next 24 hours at our website, IndigenousWays.org, you will find an archive of over 200 Native American, Indigenous, LGBTQIA2S plus and deaf and hard of presenters that are in the video library. So please check them out, and you'll also see Warrior. So please share the video link of Warrior, because you know what you give me, Warrior, is hope for our future generations. And then in some way, I want to clone you quite a few times. We want more Warrior Browns.
Me too.
So please share that. And also at our website, IndigenousWays.org, you can subscribe to our newsletters that we put out monthly of all these not only amazing presenters like Warrior, but also the other events that we do. Below me, you'll see flashing across the screen all our social media pages. So if you're blessing us tonight and have come in through one of our social media pages, please subscribe or like that page and share that with your friends. We want to grow. We want to grow this. I didn't realize how important this was for also sponsorship with all the projects that we do. So thank you so much for your support. And also these virtual events that we have been doing since the 1st of April 2020 have been free. They have had ASL interpreters, and tonight you'll see the beautiful Mariah Garcia, who is our ASL interpreter tonight. It is access free to everyone. So that's why they're free and have communication access. We want to thank at this time the National Endowments of the Arts, the City of Santa Fe Arts and Culture Department, the Santa Fe Community Foundation, the Envision Fund, and the New Mexico Arts for making this all possible. Also to our board members and to our individual donors in making all of this possible. I want to tell you, 2 days after our next Wisdom Circle, on Friday, the August of 18th, here in Santa Fe, it is Indian Market. So that means all weekend, natives from all around the country will be here. Artisans, food, fashion design, the whole gamut or genre of arts will be in Santa Fe Saturday and Sunday. And so on the Friday, we will be holding our last Indigenous Ways festival. This will be our third and final one. And we're very, very blessed to have Joy Harjo, who is a 3-time poet laureate, extraordinary musician, who will be closing that. We also have our producer, Larry Mitchell, who will be gracing us on the stage, as well as Charlie Lowry, who you'll see on Wednesday at the Wisdom Circle, and our 4th performer that will have Black Belt Eagle Scout. So we're really jazzed about this. It's going to be really huge. I hope you can join that. If you can't join us in person, if you go to our website, IndigenousWays.org, you can fill out the registration, because we will also be beaming this out in a live broadcast. We have garnished a worldwide audience since the pandemic and doing these virtual events. So it's honoring all of those people that have supported us in the last 3 years, making that access available. And hopefully in the next few years, you'll be able to join us in person in Santa Fe or when we take that back to the reservation. Our Indigenous Ways festivals are possible because of all of our sponsors that you can see below. Very, very grateful that we can make this happen. And then our last festival that we had was in June. So these are some of the wonderful images from that. But I'm just going to take a minute out because I want to share a wonderful video with you that was done by our videographer Ramona Emerson, who has just put out a book called Shudder. She is too one of our Wisdom Circle speakers. So she's winding up her film directing that she's been doing for the last 20 years. And she's also going into her book launching another book because it's become so successful. But anyway, this has just come hot off the press. So these are just some of the images from what happened in our beautiful June festival.
Earth spirit, poets, ocean. Time to get your body in motion. Get up and learn the movements. In time, you'll see improvements. Motivation and attitude. Find the strength inside of you. Let the sweat pour, dig deep. Zumba isn't for the weak. Just here to have some fun. Look better when we're done. Beautiful people putting in work. Who said it wouldn't hurt? You know you're doing it right. Energy to finish the fight. Keep pushing, don't you quit. Dancing together to stay fit.
Dance with me one time, clap with me one time, stomp with me one time, dance with me one time.
All right. So that's just a little bit of flavor of what we've been co-creating with the many communities, our deaf and hard of hearing community, our Native, our Indigenous, our LGBTQIA. It was Indigenous Pride in the Park last month being June and Pride Month. So we have a lot of fun. And as Indigenous women and the co-founders of Indigenous Ways, 75% of our performers are women. Why? And this is something that Warrior said, because we can. Because we can. And also because of how important it is. So, if you're able to donate, we've got PayPal, Venmo. On our website, there's a donate button, or you can do snail mail. That's if you want to invest in the amazing projects that we've been so blessed to do. Now, with all that talking and advertising that I've been doing, we've almost taken up the full time. We usually do here invite our audience. I know Christine and Donna is here. If you want to come on and ask, we've probably got a minute or two if you want to ask Warrior a question or a comment, or just drop it in the box. But want to thank everyone for being with us this evening. Hey, Christine, thank you so much for popping in. We'll give you the last word. Do you have a comment or question or anything that you might have for Warrior? These are the things that we've been doing, because some of the work we do, sometimes we question ourselves and then it's easy not to. But then when we're in circles like this and people are saying, Warrior, we love you. You keep going. Like when he talked about his incredible ancestors. So, Christine, I'm going to zap to you and then we'll wind it up.
Thank you. I'm glad I get to participate in these most of the time when you do them. I always learn so much, and it's just so wonderful to hear all the good, positive, motivational messages every single time that I sign in and hear one of your wisdom circles. Warrior, I love the way that you express yourself. When you speak, I can see the images of what you're speaking about. You just really evoke. I don't really have the words for it. It's powerful. The way you speak and communicate. As I listened to you, like Tasha at one point said, you left her in tears. I don't know if you've ever considered writing as an additional way to be out in the world, to share your message with people. I just want to encourage you to keep putting yourself out there, because you do have a gift of expression. And I think the way that you speak is very healing. And I really think you have a lot to bring to the world. So I'm really thankful I got to hear you this evening. I'm sorry I was a little late, but I'm really happy. And so thank you very much. And keep doing what you're doing, because we need you, and we need more people like you out there in the world.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Thank you so
that.
much for
Thank
that,
you so much,
Christine, and
Christine. We love
having
you.
that last word. Tasha, I'll
And-
just wrap this up, but I
Okay.
want to thank you for that last word. And that's what it's about, Warrior. We really see you and really honor you on this walk. Thank you for blessing us in this wisdom circle. I also want to take this time to thank everyone, whether they came in live in Zoom, or if they're over in the social media live, or you're watching the recording of the beautiful Warrior Brown. Thank you for blessing us with your time. I want to
500
take the
years from
time.
now, 500 years from now, Warrior will be on our website. So we got a long business plan, everybody. Warrior Zen.
And thanks for that, Tosh. And I also want to take this time to thank our ASL interpreter, Mariah Garcia, making access available for all. We will look forward to seeing all of you August the 16th for the beautiful Charlie Lowry at the next Indigenous Ways Circle, 6 to 7 Mountain Daylight Time. And besides that, let's give it up for the medicine and sharing with us this evening. Let's give it up for the one and only Warrior Brown.
Warrior Brown, Warrior Brown,
Touch the earth.